Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Nigeria's higher education sector once again is teetering on the edge of disruption. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, has issued a fresh ultimatum to the federal government of Nigeria over unresolved welfare issues, from unpaid salaries to the stalled agreements to the rejection of government loan schemes. ASUU says it's been pushed to the wall. Students, parents and lecturers are bracing for yet another shutdown. But how did we get here again? ASUU accuses the federal government of reneging on the 2009 ASUU Federal Government of Nigeria Agreement. Key grievances include unpaid salary arrears, 3-month outstanding, poor pension structure for retired lecturers, withheld promotions and poor welfare, rejection of federal government's Tertiary Institution Staff Support Fund loan. The continued underfunding of public universities is also one of their grievances.
Joining us for this discussion is President of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, Professor Christopher Piwuna. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Prof, if you can hear us, I'm hoping that you can hear us. 3 months of unpaid salaries, promotions withheld. It feels like we're dancing around in cycles. It feels like every other day we're hearing about an issue with federal government and ASUU. Do we ever get a break? What does this say about the value that Nigeria places on its intellectual class?
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate your asking those questions. Number one, are we going in circles? And when would this circle of threats and strikes, come to an end? This same government has admitted that the Academic Staff Union of Universities have been quiet, that we have allowed stability in the system for the past 2.5 years. These 2.5 years is not because government has been doing its part, in ensuring that this stability is maintained. I'll give you an example. We have been talking with the government negotiating team since November 2024 to ensure that the 2009 agreement, is completed and signed. Then we go to implementation. That has not been done. The government team had submitted that report to government since February this year, and as at last week, government had not acted on that agreement. That delay is what is causing agitation, restlessness amongst our members. We went on strike in 2022, and at the end of that strike, we were owed 8 months' salary. When we came back to the universities, we completed our lectures, we conducted exams, we marked the exams, we graded the students, we went to Senate. All members of Academic Staff Union, we went to Senate of our various universities, approved the results. Students graduated based on the fact that we had completed the lectures, we had marked their exams, and the exams had been approved. For all of that, government decided to pay us only 4 months out of the 8 months of our salaries, or 7.5 months of our salaries. So very clearly, government is still owing us for work done. It is not as if we went on strike and are just asking government to pay us our salaries while we're on strike. We came back and made sure that nothing was left undone. Students have made progress based on that exam. Students have made progress because they have completed their NYSC. Some of them are even employed from 2022 to now. So we do not understand how government will still be owing us that salary. And so we think that the stability in the system is one that we have facilitated. And when you are talking about going in circles, when are we going to see the end of this thing? I think that is the question that's meant for the government side.
Now, Prof, we're still talking about the 2009 agreement in your discussions and interactions with government. And the government has decided to come up with this, what you've described as a trap, this loan scheme, which is different from the conversations you're having. Can you explain why ASUU is rejecting this financial support as it appears to be on the surface, this loan scheme proposed by the federal government?
Number one, this loan scheme is not entirely new. It's not a new idea. It's nothing, I'm sorry to say, it's nothing novel. In most universities, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration chairs a committee that gives loans to staff. The funding for that loan is not very adequate. So it hasn't been very effective. So what government is bringing to us in terms of loan is not completely new to the system. But we appreciate the fact that they are thinking that our members may need support, they need some loan or something. I mean, give it to them. We're happy that they are thinking of that. But when you are owing me salary for 3.5 months, you are owing me. My money is with you. And rather than give me that money, you are offering to give me loan. I don't understand. Why should that be so? They should just give us our money. And if they have enough money to give our members loan, go ahead and do that. We're not going to stop it. But the fundamental thing, the fundamental reason why we are rejecting this loan is that if government concludes on the 2009 renegotiated agreement, it has already been renegotiated with the government side. If they can come back to us, tell us what is acceptable to them in that agreement, tell us what is not acceptable to them, and we close the gap. The two sides sit down, because it's a collective bargaining agreement. We sit down together, we look at what they are bringing, we give them our own view, because we'll go back to our members and come back to them too. Once we conclude on that, that agreement holds the key to solving most, if not all, of these problems that has continued to rear its ugly head and cause instability in the system. So why won't government just sign that agreement? The key thing in that agreement, for your information, is the issue of our conditions of service. Conditions of service means that our salaries will change. If our salaries improve, will there be need for loan? If you want loan, you can still take it, but at least basically you have been supported. So we're saying sign that agreement. The other component of the agreement is university autonomy. Do you know that we are currently enjoying autonomy to a very large extent? So what is it about the autonomy now that they don't want to sign? Academic freedom. Ask all of them in government. All of them in government. Ask if there is any of them that do not understand or appreciate academic freedom. How many professors do we have in this government? Those that we know publicly and those that are supporting them behind the scenes. Let them tell the government people what is the problem with that. So what are the things that are so terrible about the agreement that they don't want to sign? Let them come and tell us. All the items in the agreement are very clear. We need improvement in our salaries. That has been accepted. That has been acknowledged by the Minister of Education. It has been acknowledged by other agents of government. So what is the problem? What is it? This circle of strikes and threats of strikes, you can put it squarely at the door of government. Squarely at the door of government. They can end this thing within a blink of an eye if they want to. So honestly, we've done our best. We have waited for them 2.5 years. We've allowed them to settle in. We believe they have settled in. In fact, we have had 2 or 4 people that have changed places in the Ministry of Education. The former Minister of Education, we dealt with him. The former Minister of State, we're dealing with him. We now have a new minister. We have a new Minister of State.
Right.
So we've been dealing with them for the past 2.5 years.
Right. Okay. What would your response be to the critics who have argued that these incessant strikes hurts the students much more, and that the welfare of the students is not being as prioritized in all of this, and that maybe ASUU is weaponizing education? I mean, those are some of the lines that we've heard people say when analyzing the issue of these incessant strikes.
Well, I understand when people say that kind of thing, but let me tell you something. Look at everything that is considered improvement in our universities. How did it come about? Hostels. Did government just sit down and decide that, students need more hostels, and they built the hostels? No, it was a strike that brought that hostel on ground. Check our laboratories, check our lecture rooms, check virtually everything about these students. Let them tell us, let the public point at one thing that came about, when ASUU did not agitate. Unfortunately, we'll have to agitate before these things improve. The only thing that students could claim they are enjoying that we did not support is this students' loan scheme. Our argument was that if you have the money, and we believe that government has the money, why won't they make it grants? Give these students and the universities grants. Why are you making it a loan? That is the only thing we don't agree in their policy, with their policy rather. That is the only point of disagreement. So all those who are saying that students will suffer, we admit that students bear the brunt of these actions. But is it because ASUU has decided to make students suffer? Our actions, I say it with my full chest, as young people will say these days, that our actions have brought succor to the university and our universities.
We acknowledge
in hostel.
We acknowledge that, Professor Piwuna, but also on the flip side of this, you say because of your agitation and the strikes, it's brought succor to universities, hostels, and the other things. But when you look at Nigerian universities on a global scale, Nigerian universities rank poorly globally, and there's also brain drain among lecturers that is accelerating. So beyond funding, what reforms could ASUU would ASUU support to modernize curricula, research, and learning environments so our universities can compete internationally?
Well, all these things that you've said, I think we've tried to cover them by our actions. Whether it is the learning environment, we just talked about it, the classrooms, the laboratories, the quality of equipment in our laboratories and all of that. These are struggles that came about because of our agitations. They are benefits of our agitations. We are saying, why do we have to agitate before government will fund its own institutions? Why? If they do it without our agitations, won't that improve the quality and the ranking of our universities? Why should they wait until we agitate before they do it? There was no agitation in primary school. There were no agitations in secondary schools. Now, you know that we do not have functional primary schools. We do not have functional public secondary schools. All of them are private. And that is why today, as they are trying to kill the public universities, they are opening private universities, so that our universities will also go the way of public primary schools. Our secondary schools will also go the same way, and the universities will be the same. So I think it is clear to you who should be held responsible for these things. All our agitations is to bring improvement in the system.
Just to mention, Prof,
agitated.
You sort of made reference to the moratorium on the public universities. Are you against that?
No, we are not.
Okay.
In fact, in our press conference yesterday, we commended the federal government for finally taking that decision. We commended the government. And to the credit of the Minister of Education, he told us last week that they were going to do that, and they did it. So we commend them. But we're just saying that this is what ASUU has been saying for the past 10 years, that stop proliferation of universities. As a journalist, please go back and look at our press conferences in the last 10 years and check our charter of demands for all the strikes in the last 10 years and see whether the issue of proliferation of universities will not be a part of it.
All right, so that means
been a part of our education.
And that means that as you're applauding the moratorium on the public universities, you're expecting that to be extended as well to the private universities.
Sorry, say that again.
I said that means that as you're applauding the moratorium on the creation of new public universities, you're expecting that to also be extended to the private universities, right? Okay, so just to quickly...
We understand.
All right, go ahead, please land.
Sorry, I didn't get the last bit, but what I was trying to say is that we understand that private universities are privately owned. They are business, they are for profit to a large extent. People have invested their money. We cannot just come and say, look, don't do it. But government should have control. They should have some form of control, regulate the establishment of even the private universities, because the government has said that access to education, university education, is no longer a problem. So if you admit that private access to education is no longer a problem, why can't you just control both public and private universities in terms of creation, establishment? We are just asking them to go a step further to do it. But on the general note, we admit that their action to place moratorium is commendable, and we hope they can go even further.
All right. Now that we're talking about the meeting deadline for negotiations with government, the August 28th, we believe, is scheduled for the meeting deadline. What next? Are we looking at a full-blown strike if the government does not comply? Is there room for compromise? What are the next steps?
Well, I can confirm to you that strike is on the table, but whether we would embark on the strike or not will be decided by our members. ASUU operates from bottom up. So we've asked our branch chairpersons to go back to our local congresses and discuss this issue and come back with a position. And it is the position that our branches across the country that come with that we will implement at NEC after the August 28th meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Christopher Piwuna, for joining us this morning. We do hope that the federal government and ASUU can come together before this deadline so that at the end of the day, the students don't have to suffer for it and everybody can go home happy, students, lecturers, members of staff. But thank you very much for speaking with us.